We talked to Jordan in Florida, and Jordan seems really comfortable and maybe even more confident than he did a year ago. Where's he at right now in your estimation in terms of his growth and everything?
He's doing a hell of a job. The kid works hard, works his butt off. He's been playing really well this spring. I think part of his comfort is now it's year 2 in a system that he pretty much knows. The only new thing, really one new coverage that we put in that's kind of changed things, and it's a fun coverage for the corners, fun coverage for the secondary. So I think the comfort level playing press man all last year and coming right back and doing it again this year is where his comfort is.
Did he exceed your expectations at all last year? I mean, when you first got him?
Well, being honest, watching the prior year on film, we watched all the games, and he was impressive then. I was impressed with him, Strib, Clark, for those guys to be able to play man the way we want them to play man, to be able to handle that transition last year. That was impressive, all 3 of those guys. So, and now the carryover is very helpful.
Where can he still get better, Jordan?
Jordan? Whew, that's a tough question. He's pretty dang good at what he does. I think the biggest thing for him is just maintaining that level of play that he has, staying competitive. Maybe if I was being critical of him, use of his hands downfield. But he's doing some really good things.
How do you coach a guy? I'm sure you coach other guys that are at the top of their game like that. How do you approach them differently than maybe the normal player then?
You don't. You don't. You just coach them the same. You be consistent with all of them. At times you use guys like him and Strib as examples. But you got to be consistent when you coach them. That's what I try to do. I hope I'm doing that to those guys.
How do you see him having an influence on Stribling and Clark?
Well, certainly his accolades from last year, his work ethic on the field, very competitive guy. Those things we all wish that they rub off on a lot of guys. So in our room, that can have an effect.
Do you see him ever kind of more vocally?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He gets fired up on the field, quiet off the field, but in between the lines, he's pretty vocal.
How does the change in defensive coordinator affect the cornerback position?
It really hasn't. It really hasn't, minus one coverage that is new. But again, it's something they enjoy doing. It's a little different. So they've embraced it. It hasn't been much of a change at all.
Those top 3 guys seem like a clear top 3. Are there other working their way into the rotation or guys that are kind of getting toward the field?
Brandon Watson, started off really strong and like to kind of fell into a little lull. I think we've talked about it, and he understands that these last 3-4 practices, the spring game is going to be big for him. They got to understand they got 2 young kids coming in our position as far as corners go. That are pretty good players. So you don't want to lean on a freshman, but you would hope that they could bring competition into the room to make everybody better.
Greg Madison has been talked very confidently about the defensive line, and the linemen have talked very confidently. Do you get that sense from your group that they feel like they're the best?
They're a good group. It's a really good group of guys, and those guys, they're big, they're strong, they're athletic. They do a lot of things. They do a lot of movement well, and certainly that helps us in the back end big time. And Coach Madison has done a hell of a job with those guys.
Do you get the sense though that your guys are feeling as confident as they are?
Very comfortable about those guys up front.
So comfortable about themselves though. Do they think they're the best defensive?
The corners,
yeah. And the whole backfield.
They better. They absolutely better think they're the best ones on the field. That better be their attitude. But no, they certainly respect the guys up front. They take time away, which is good.
It's Don Lake.
Oh, he's great, man. Fun guy, energetic guy, really good person, really smart mind football-wise, good all around. Yep.
So noticeable difference without Jared kind of directing traffic in the back end this year?
I tell you, Delano has stepped up. DT has stepped up. Those guys have taken over that role, and they're doing a pretty good job at it. They really are.
Not a surprise to hear Thomas being a vocal person, but is Delano vocal also?
Delano, he needs to be a little more vocal, but again, between the lines, and that's what we talk about, yeah, you could be a quiet person. I'm a quiet person, but once we get inside the lines, you're playing ball, and you got to express yourself, play with enthusiasm, have some energy, have some juice, and be vocal because guys are counting on you to help them get lined up.
Who are the guys in the two deep there? Who's playing behind those guys?
We got Tyree Cannell. A.J. Pearson's doing well. Jordan Glasgow, the walk-on, he's back behind there. He's getting some reps, so he's in the fight. You've got some good guys, you can lean on. Absolutely.
Jabril's still factoring into the defensive backfield. How much time has he seen back there? Is it mostly linebacker right now?
It packages. We have different packages. He's mostly down by the line of scrimmage, but there's some packages where he's roaming the post. He's playing half the field. Sometimes he's sitting in the middle of the field. So there's some things we're doing with him. We got about 4 or 5 different packages where guys are moving all over. So he's been around. He's got a lot on his plate, but the good thing about Pep, he's a smart kid. He enjoys the challenge of all those different spots.